Okay, we're going to call to order today's Public Facilities Commission meeting, February 17th, 2017. With me to my right is Angela Atchu, the legal counsel for the Public Facilities Commission, who will read out the agenda.
Good morning, everyone. Today before us is the Department of Neighborhood Development. There are meeting minutes from the January 19th, 2017 meeting for both the Public Facilities Department and the Department of Neighborhood Development. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote number 1 this morning is with Bernard Mayo. He's a project manager with the Real Estate Management and Sales Division of the Department of Neighborhood Development. This is a property transfer. It's a transfer of vacant land from the Public Works Department to the Department of Neighborhood Development. Vacant land located at Ritchie Street in Roxbury, Massachusetts. Bernard?
Good morning. This vote is to transfer the Ritchie Street parcel from the Department of Public Works to the Department of Neighborhood Development. The parcel abuts the future site of the Jackson Square Recreation Center near the intersection of Columbus Avenue and Ritchie Street. If the vote is approved, we will go before the City Council to get the property surplus. Once the property is in the D&D inventory, we'll issue our request for proposals requesting a community use, which increases the public benefits of the planned recreation center.
Any questions from the commission? Larry?
Nope, no questions. Motion.
Seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vote number 1 passes.
Oh. A handout.
Vote number 2 is with William Epperson. He's a senior project manager with the Real Estate Management and Sales Division of the Department of Neighborhood Development. This is a property transfer. It's transfer of vacant land from the Department of Neighborhood Development to the Boston Parks and Recreation Department. It's vacant land located at various parcels in Dorchester, Roxbury, South End, West Roxbury, Hyde Park, and Mattapan, Massachusetts. William?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm very pleased to be here for this vote today. This is, as background, been in the works for some time. We are requesting the transfer of 18 parcels of just about 115,000 square feet of land to be transferred from D&D to the Parks and Recreation Department. These parcels are primarily either existing open space, in many cases used as parks, or urban wilds or other conservation areas, more appropriate to be under the care and custody of the Parks Department rather than the Department of Neighborhood Development. June of 2015, the Parks and Recreation Commission voted on the transfer of 21 parcels. In the last 2 years, the two agencies have collaborated and determined that 3 of those parcels are better suited for private sale as opposed to recreation or conservation. So we are requesting the transfer of 18 of those original 21 parcels to be transferred. I have provided you in your handouts an image of each of the site, as well as a map and some brief information summarizing the parcels and how they're better suited to be parks and recreation.
I just have one question. I was wondering if the Parks Department has the budget to maintain these parcels.
So in many of the cases, Parks is already maintaining them. The existing Parks Department staff takes care of trash collection and that sort of thing. The urban wilds typically are unmaintained. And the Parks Department, along with the Conservation Commission, has a large inventory already of parcels, so they're well adapted to take care of them, and there have been no budgetary concerns presented. The Parks Department is very cognizant of budget before they take anything, and they've blessed these parcels.
No question, but just a comment. Job well done. I think this is great, transferring parcels to the appropriate city departments that should have control of them.
Great.
Other than that, a motion?
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Vote 2 passes. Vote number 3 is with Christopher Rooney. He's a project manager with the Real Estate Management and Sales Division of the Department of Neighborhood Development. The purchase price for this property is $350,000. It's a tentative developer designation and intent to sell to a nominee comprised of principals from the Caribbean Integration Community Development Incorporated and Planning Office for Urban Affairs Incorporated. This is vacant land located at 872 Morton Street and Hopkins Street in Mattapan, Massachusetts. Chris?
Good morning. D&D is requesting the Commission's approval of the developer designation for the joint venture between Caribbean Integration Community Development and the Planning Office for Urban Affairs for the city-owned parcels outlined in the vote package. The vote package contains a comprehensive memo about the project and a handout. I'd like to go through the handout briefly. The first slide is a map of the site. It abuts the MBTA commuter rail tracks for the Fairmount Indigo line and is across the street from the Morton Street commuter rail station. So it presents a great transit-oriented development site, and the mixed-use nature of this proposal fits right in with transit-oriented development. The second slide is just photos of each of the parcels as they look today. On top is the Morton Street parcel, which used to be the site of a former Boston Police substation, which was demolished a few years ago, and the Hopkins Street site, which sits behind it in a residential neighborhood. The third is a rendering of what the proposed project would look like. The top rendering is a site from Morton Street, and the lower picture is what the site looks like from the back from the Hopkins Street vantage point. Next, we have the site plan, proposed site plan. There's frontage on Morton Street, and the building stretches back along the commuter rail tracks towards Hopkins Street. And in the right-hand corner is the proposed 8,000 square foot community garden space, also known as a Serenity Garden. And the next slide is just a more detailed look at the site plan for the proposed Serenity Garden. In summary, if the Commission approves the vote request, it will result in the following public benefits: the creation of 38 residential units. 34 units will be affordable, providing much-needed workforce housing in Boston and enlivening the area with new residents. The project will provide affordable housing opportunities to households at multiple tiers of the area median income, or AMI. Of the 38 total units, 4 will be Massachusetts Rental Voucher Program units. 3 will be up to 30% AMI. 3 will be up to 50% AMI. 18 will be up to 60% AMI. 3 will be up to 70% AMI. 3 will be up to 110% AMI, and 4 will be market rate. This project will also create ground floor commercial space, attracting foot traffic and bringing vitality and customers to the streetscape. It will create 8,000 square feet of community green space and a 1,000 square foot community room. It will revitalize 2 vacant parcels that have been in the city's inventory for 24 and 17 years, respectively. The project is expected to create 64,479 construction hours, which will generate jobs among the building trades. The developer is committed to the community to make efforts to hire from within the immediate neighborhood. By removing these parcels from our inventory, the city will be able to avoid future costs and liabilities associated with maintaining these properties. And by returning these parcels to the tax rolls, the city can expect to recoup approximately $20,900 in property taxes in the first year alone. I can answer any questions if any.
I had just a couple of questions just to get on the record with. Number one was, has the partnership that we're talking about here worked together before, PUA and the Caribbean Integration Community Development?
Yes, they have. They were the co-developers on the Cody Village project in Mattapan, which I think you're familiar with. That's been very successful. We're at the last stage of that project right now, just waiting for state funding to be awarded. But they're all teed up. They've gone through all of their approval processes, not only with the Department of Neighborhood Development, but also the Boston Planning and Development Agency. They've gone through their Article 80 process. They've been board approved by the BRA, and just waiting on funding to get a shovel in the ground on that.
Thank you, Christopher. And then the second question I had, just for the record too, was we talked about the mix of incomes that will be people who will be eligible to be in this residence. Can you talk a little bit about how many other models like this there are in Boston right now and the success rate of those? Or do you find that you have different pockets where, or maybe Chief can answer this question, Chief Dillon, but do we find that there is difficulty in getting people at those, is it more complicated? And I know in the memorandum it says it's not necessarily more complicated, but,
So every neighborhood, in this one in particular, because I'm familiar with the community process, is very interested in building developments that aren't just one income, not all low income or not all high income. So I think this is going to be very successful, and the model has been very successful in the past when you've got lots of incomes living together. It's not all high income with just a few set aside affordable units. So because there's such a mix of incomes here, I think that's going to be very, very successful. So I'm not aware of any issue right now, especially given the demand for all types of housing in Boston, where a mix of incomes hasn't worked out really well.
and then my final question before I ask Commissioner Mamoli, if he has any questions, is the RFP stated that the financial capacity of the partnership, it was just not submitted, the financials weren't submitted. So that was not advantageous, and that there might be a possibility that the purchase price has to be lowered from $350,000 to something else to make this more affordable for the developer. So I would hope that that would come back if that purchase price changes to the commission. But the first thing is it normal to have not an understanding of the financial capacity of the bidder?
That was referring to the letters of interest from the
Okay.
various funders. It was just an oversight on their part. Absolutely, when we come back for a conveyance vote, we'll have, the financials will be fully vetted by then. But that was what we were referring to in that case.
Oh, okay, thank you very much for clarifying that. Commissioner Mamoli, any questions?
No, I, again, want to compliment taking properties that have been vacant for 17 and 24 years and getting them hopefully back to productive uses, a great item.
I do want to state for the record that the staff did a really good job working with the community on this. This is a community that has been looking at this derelict building now, which is now demolished for a very long period of time, and they're very excited about this development. So we're hopeful that it will move forward and really be a community asset.
Great. I move to support this.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Chief. Thank you,
you.
Christopher.
Thank you.
Vote number 3 is approved. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.
Oh.